Hey everybody, hope you're all doing well. Well, we're back on the LS heads, and this video is a little bit different because I'm going to just show what I've done here and go over a couple things with you guys. Now, there's different ways of doing a head, and that's what I do. I do a head according to the application, and you might think, well, how many different ways can you do a head? Well, some guys will call their head porting a stage 1, a stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, stage 5, which is fine if that's what they want to do. Now, I could see that on certain heads that flow real well, where you're kind of picking and choosing the size runner for an application. Now, as far as that goes on like an E7, a stage 1, a stage 2, a stage 3, a stage 4, or on a pair of GT40 heads or a factory type Ford head of any kind, or any type, whatever you want to say. I don't understand why anybody would want to do any stage to a head that maxed out only flows. Well, we're going to use a flow number because I don't like that, but we got to get to the majority here. Well, what do they flow, fellas? 240, exaggerated bench, 260, we'll say 280. So if you can get 280 out of a head, why do you want to do a stage 1 or a stage 2? Now, I seen one guy say his theory was it's because of the airspeed. And you don't want to make an E7 head or a GT40 head too big. It's impossible. If it wasn't impossible, and I mean, you can get technical and say because of the cross-section area and the valve size that you can, I say this, impossible, because it's not that crucial like people make it. It is when you get a high-flowing head, then it starts being a little different. I'm going to put it to you this way, everybody. You could almost mess up a pair of E7 heads and just hog them out and make a few mistakes, and it's still going to outrun whatever you had before in most cases, unless you just do something idiotic. So I hope I'm not getting too carried away with that. But that brings me to this. That's just my little input on a small head that doesn't flow. But what do you do on a head that does flow? Well, out of the box already. And they make power already, like these. Well, you have to be careful what you do with something that works well already, because you can mess it up. You will mess it up if you do the wrong stuff in the wrong places. So, an LS head, if you just want a nice cleanup, you can just do the areas that are restricted and a few bad spots that they have. They're still going to have a car that rips. I mean, you're talking 11-second vehicle without a lot of work in most cases. For that car to run slower than 11s, if it runs in the 12s, then it's probably a fuel problem or something like that. It's probably, or a converter. It's probably not even in the head. It's probably not you're underpowered, unless you have something going on that's not allowing that engine to come around, is my point. A stock head is enough to get in the 11s with in a light vehicle. Now, if you have a Camaro that's up in the 3800 range, then you're going to be looking around 1260, 1240 range. Somebody knows what they're doing, 12.0, 1220s. Somebody don't know what they're doing and has the worst tuner in the world, or put a chip in that doesn't work right. Well, Now you're probably 13s, and it might run worse than stock. So, hope I made that point. But anyway, I recently came up with an idea. Instead of a stage 1, or stage 2, or stage 3, try to explain to you guys what I do. If the car is an automatic, I usually go into detail why I do what I do. And there's a reason for that, because I want you guys to understand why I'm doing that head that particular way. But here's one thing I'm going to be offering, I think, in the near future, is heads already done by me. And it's going to be like this here. Instead of me saying it's a stage 1 head, my plan is this: to have it be where you have an idea what the head is capable of, horsepower-wise and time-wise. So I want it to be where I'm a little different than most guys you buy heads from. I want it to be where there's a car to back it up, where I can tell you guys this head works well in a 3,000-pound car with a certain camshaft, and you guys buy that head, know that you can put it on that car and it's going to run where I say it will run. So that's my plan. So like these heads I'm showing you right now, these are ones you guys were following me. I'm doing for a street application, and he's a friend, and they're basically finished. Now, I did take the bump out in here. Hang on, fellas. Let me try to do this. So that's a crucial area to me. Now, what I did do on these heads, and I shouldn't really go into too much detail because I'm trying to keep this video short, but I need to explain a little bit what I'm talking about. So, even though the wall looks a little bit up and down, LSs are always like that. But this RPM, this head's getting turned, I flattened this as best I could without going crazy here. Because most of the air is going to be up here the way I designed it. It's going to sweep up here, and it's going to carry back. So, that was my plan. But here's what I'm getting at, guys. I'm getting off telling you what I'm doing here and off base. This head is going to be called my street contender head. And it's going to be where, once it's proven, which I do have it proven on other vehicles, but I want to make sure that this head does what I say it's going to do. So I don't want one vehicle to go by. I want a couple vehicles to go by. So that's what I'm going to be about, guys. I'm not going to offer a head and tell you guys it's going to go 10 seconds or 9 seconds or make this kind of power or that and have it be on one vehicle. I want it proven. I want it backed up. I want it to be a couple different people try my products out so it's proven. So this is going to be a street contender head. So if you guys would like something like this here, let me know that you're interested in something like this. If I should do this, or if I should just leave it up to Trick Flow. Now, I will say this. From what I've seen, this head will run with a Trick Flow head. So, it's depending on the application, of course, but it was very close, the same type of camshaft it was based on. The only thing was different, basically, was an intake and a dyno. And I've told you guys before, we had the worst intake that people don't like is the Holly on the LS. They don't like it. They said it's 50 horsepower down. But, I mean, hours I did go through doing that much work to it. I went through on it, and we had to weld it. So it does work better than the average Holly that you'd put on. So I just want to show you guys this. Now, this would be a street head. This could be for an automatic car or a stick car, nitrous, or anything basically on the street. Now, people say rounding the top doesn't help. Well, I say it does. And now I say I see a lot of people are copying this. I don't know if that's intentional or if they're just finding out by testing their heads that it works. I did widen the floor a little bit here. But what I like to do on a head like this, I should keep some of these things to myself so people don't copy what I do and say. Because if I'm going to win the business and have my own ideas, I don't want to give away everything that I'm doing. Because I've had head guys look at my stuff and they don't pick up on it. They're like, well, I don't know what you were doing there, but it works. I've had that happen a few times. So it's like this here. I like leaving the floor a little bit smaller on this design. And that's one of my tricks on that, intentionally. And that's just this head. And if people want to think this isn't a good idea, that's fine. So people that are afraid to take factory stuff and modify it, well, if you're afraid to touch something and you know it's able to do better, well, you're giving up horsepower. That's how I look at it. But that also is what makes the world tick. So then we'll jump over here, and I hope you guys can see these heads. Now, the only problem I have here, guys, is that this isn't going to show up quite like I want it to on video, because this head here, if you purchase this head from me and try to put it on a stock engine with automatic, you would be very unhappy. I made these heads for one reason, and these are a grudge head. Yeah, they're going on a grudge car, and I wish you could see exactly how much difference these are compared to a stock head, because this isn't a fair assessment put it next to these, because these heads are actually a lot different than a stock head. And if you only had something to compare it with, you'd see. So my point is this is a grudge head, and once these heads are proven more than one time, then I'm going to give you guys full knowledge that I have with anything that I offer. Cam-wise, the weight of the vehicle, converter choices, carburetor choices, textures for carburation or smooth if you want it smooth. If you want your own seat angle secret, you can have that. Or I can put my spin on it. And I'll show you guys the exhaust, because this exhaust is different. Now remember, you're looking at two different heads here too, or two different number heads. So I should mention that. So now what I did on these heads here, I did ramp the floor back here, which people say you shouldn't touch the floor. But all I did is take the sharp edge off and lower it down where it comes into the seat and put more of a sweep on it. Let me see if I can get a light to show you guys. So you can see how much angle's on that floor now, hopefully. Maybe you can't. It has a very nice pitch coming up off of the seat area. So I can't get the light in there like I want to, guys. I hope you can make out something there. And the same with this. these are not going to have any problem with the exhaust getting out of this head. Now, the same deal. If you want to go with bigger valves in one of these heads, then that would be discussed over the phone, and I would accommodate that in the whole plan when I do these heads. So it would be more or less, they'd be being on what you guys are doing as far as performance, what your car is trying to do as far as a number. And some guys don't want to tell what they're doing because they're, like I said, it's a grudge head. Guys don't want to tell you their secrets. And that's fine. The only problem is somebody's offering you a product, you might be hurting yourself by not saying exactly what you're trying to do. I had a story before, I told you guys before. I had a guy years ago, one of the first pair of LS heads I did, the guy told me it was a small engine, and I found out later on that he was building a stroker. So that was just one of them deals. So it didn't bother me if he was building a 500 cubic inch engine. I'm trying to help the guy. So did I help him? I doubt it, because I left things on the smaller side like this. When that engine, the way he was building that car, from what I heard after the fact, would have been better off with this. It was a turbo and boosted. I don't know what it ran, but it doesn't matter anymore, does it, guys? But anyway, this is what I'm going to be doing. This is going to be something in the works, if it's worth me doing. But if I'm going to knock out 10 pairs of cylinder heads and have them ready, if somebody calls me up and wants a head, and there's not anybody out there to buy them, well, I'm not going to be stuck with 15 pairs or 10 pairs of LS heads laying around, because I can't use that many heads, and except for a door stop. But the problem is I don't want to put 100 hours in a door stop, because I have a lot of metal laying around here I could hold the door open with, guys. So this is my idea. This is just something I want to run by you guys, and I really wish this would pick up on my phone here more so you guys could actually see. Now, one thing I do want to point out, guys, I just started on this head as far as this. This one's almost shaped. These other ones are not shaped. What I was going to do is for a demo is to do each runner different, to show this different head, what it would consist of as far as a runner. I decided not to do that. Way too much work. So I just thought I'd do it this way. I had this head to compare this to this one. So I'm hoping this is kind of an idea already. There's going to be other heads involved in this. There's going to be one below this one. But what I'd rather do is keep it on the high end of things, because you start not doing as much to these heads, well, you might as well put a stock head on. You don't need a guy like me charging you $800 or $1,000 for a head that will pick up 0.2 over your stock head. So to me, with a head, it's either do it or don't do it. Unless you're a guy that has a little Mustang going to car shows, you want to get the car in the 12s, and you have a pair of GT40 heads, something like that. Or you just want a little bit extra performance and you don't care, and you'll say, I don't care, I just want to go a couple tenths faster, and you have money, and you don't mind that. That is perfectly okay. But I don't ever want to take somebody's hard-earned money to hand them back something to see where there's no difference. And there's nothing worse than somebody being sorry that they paid $1,000 or $800 or $500 to see no difference. I surely wouldn't want to, guys. So that's where I'm at with that. But anyway, I'm getting long-winded on this. This was supposed to be another video. Short, sweet, to the point. They never are. But guys, I'm going to just give you a rough idea here for the two runners at the top here, because this one, like I said, is basically how it would be. And I don't know if it comes off on here, but there's a lot more area over here. If you look at the line of sight here, this wall's cut way back. And the other extreme head I would have above this one, it would be welded. It would have to be welded because of the things I would do to this head. Because I'd like to actually make this head where you could have a stock casting number and go out there, and if you wanted to run with one of these guys with aftermarket head, they wouldn't think much about it. Like, he's got the 243 or the 317 head. Yeah, they're just, well, he said they're ported, but what could be done to them? Most guys think like that when they might be in trouble. So I'll just leave it at that, guys. I want to thank you for checking me out all the time, fellas. I tell you that every time, hopefully, because it's very important I do that. So I hope I never miss doing that with you guys. And just try to, if you can, leave me a little comment about this. And it will either be inspiration, or it will just be like, you know what, Terry, no, there's enough out there, and you might want to save a lot of time. So, and just keep doing what you're doing. But it's just something I thought about, fellas. It'd be pretty neat if somebody just called me up instead of saying, hey, how long would it take to get a pair of heads done? If I had them already done, say, I have them right here, they're on their way. So see what you think, fellas. Once again, guys, have a good night, and thank you very much, fellas. God bless you.